My name is Lily Henderson. I'm 33 years old and I'm a senior manager at Preston and Associates, a financial strategy firm based in Chicago. For nearly a decade, I've poured my time and energy into building my career. While my friends settled down and started families, I was busy closing multi-million-dollar deals and climbing the corporate ladder, where there's little room for weakness. I love my job, truly. But sometimes, late at night, in my 29th floor office with the city lights twinkling through the tall glass window, I wonder if I missed something along the way. No husband, no kids, just a cluttered desk and a leather chair facing away from the world. While I was working to define my place in the world, my two younger sisters, Rachel, 31, and Megan, 27, chose a very different path. Rachel got married right after graduation and now has twin boys and a house in the suburbs of Naperville. Megan married 3 years ago and just had her second baby. They always act like they get my single life, with that pitying look they try to hide but never really can. I don't resent them. Honestly, I've never felt jealous. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel out of place at family gatherings. At the dinner table, I'm always cast as the successful but lonely one. Everyone assumes I like it that way. No one ever asks if I want something different. Last Monday morning, while I was reviewing analytics for an urgent report, my phone rang. The name Rachel, little sis, lit up the screen. I put it on speaker, flipping through pages of data. "Lily, are you busy? I just need a few minutes." Rachel's voice was always syrupy sweet, but whenever she said just a few minutes, it was never less than half an hour. "Go ahead, I've got maybe 3 minutes," I joked, eyes still on the screen. "You remember Mom's birthday is coming up, right?" Rachel hesitated. "It's exactly 2 months from now. She's turning 60. I paused. "Of course I remember. You planning something?" "We're organizing a surprise week-long getaway for her in Aspen," Rachel continued, sounding excited. "Everyone's pitching in. Me, Megan, Uncle Mike, even Aunt Laura. Just a small amount from each of us." There was something not so small in the way she emphasized small. "How much?" I asked directly. Her answer nearly made me spill my coffee. "About $4,500, but if that's too much, I totally understand." I laughed, not sure if it was at the number or at how awkwardly she tried to soften it. "It's fine. I'll transfer it right now. For Mom." "Awesome. Thanks, sis. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure to take a week off from work. We'll need you there the whole time, so don't schedule anything else, okay?" I nodded automatically, then stared out at the fog-covered skyline. I wasn't sure what exactly the whole time meant, but I didn't ask. I've always been the kind who says yes first, questions later. I didn't know then that this phone call, seemingly harmless, was the beginning of a storm I never saw coming. I sent the money to Rachel that same night after finishing a board meeting. It was no small sum, more than $4,500. But I didn't think twice. It was Mom's 60th, and she deserved a celebration. I still remembered the way her eyes lit up whenever she talked about her dream of seeing snow fall in Aspen. In the transfer confirmation email, I wrote a short message, "For Mom," wishing her true happiness. For the next 3 weeks, I buried myself in work. End-of-quarter reports came flooding in. My calendar was jam-packed from morning to night. I received only a few scattered messages from Rachel. "I bucked the roads." "Megan says Mom's getting suspicious. Remember, take the full week off, no backing out last minute." I nodded each time, still not entirely picturing how the trip would go. I didn't ask for details, partly because I was busy, partly because I assumed they'd fill me in eventually. Until the twist came, on a Saturday night at our family cabin in Evanston, where childhood memories hung in every corner. Mom was in the kitchen making my favorite roast chicken. Dad was tending the fireplace. Everyone was there. Rachel, Megan, their husbands, the kids, even Aunt Lisa and her family. I walked in to the sound of laughter, thinking it would be just another cozy family evening. Then Rachel put her fork down and said, in a tone oddly calm, "Everything's set for Mom's birthday. We've got all the rooms, booked the private shuttle, even arranged ski lessons for the kids." The table erupted in excitement. Mom beamed, Dad was already talking about renting skis, and my sisters were debating which slopes to try. I was just about to ask a question when Megan turned to me, as if I were already in the loop. Lily, I think the kids will love staying with you all week. You can let them play in your reading room. Don't worry. I froze. Wait, what do you mean? Megan blinked innocently. Well, we thought you could stay at your apartment that week, watch the kids so the rest of us and Mom could relax. I looked around the table. Rachel avoided eye contact. Mom was smiling. That hopeful smile that never once suggested I'd say no. So, I'm not going to Aspen? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Lily, we know you don't like big crowds, Rachel said, still wearing that nonchalant smile. You don't need a vacation. You've already got the week off. Just stay home with the kids. They love you. My heart pounded. I looked around again, still hoping someone would laugh and say it was all a joke. But no one did. They were completely serious. I've already paid, already taken time off, and no one thought to mention that I wasn't going? I asked, my voice catching in my throat. No one answered. No one looked me in the eye. Put my fork and knife down. My palms were cold. For years, I'd been the one who stayed back, the one who paused her work to babysit, the one who paid without asking, the one always missing from photos because I was in the kitchen. And now, when I thought it would finally be different, it turned out I was still the one staying behind. Only this time I realized it. The air at the table grew unbearably heavy. The clink of silverware against porcelain was the only sound, but in my mind it was a blaring siren. I turned to Rachel, trying to keep calm. Say that again. I'm staying home to watch the kids while the rest of you go to Aspen? Rachel gave a slight nod, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Yes. We've already arranged everything. The kids will stay at your apartment. It's quiet, safe, and you're already used to taking care of them. I thought I was going with you, I replied, trying to keep my tone even, though my heart was pounding. I contributed money. I took time off work. Lily, you're not really into skiing, right? Megan chimed in with a shrug. I remember you saying you hate the cold. There's nothing in Aspen for you. I turned to Mom, hoping for a bit of fairness from the person who raised me. But she just placed her hand gently over mine. Sweetheart, I know you're good with the kids. They adore you. You can help them have a safe and smooth vacation. And the rest of us? We just need a little time to relax. My head was spinning. I swallowed hard. You're calling it relaxing to have someone watch 5 kids between the ages of 3 and 7? No one answered. I started listing them off in my head. Megan's daughter, Ava, 3 years old and extremely energetic. Rachel's twins, Caleb and Noah, 5, both little tornadoes. Then Tommy, Aunt Lisa's son, 5 years old, and Ellie, a clingy 4-year-old. I don't have ski clothes. I don't have the itinerary. I never got an actual invitation. So, how long have you had this planned? I asked, my voice shaking with disappointment. Rachel sighed like she was the one being inconvenienced. Since last month. We had to book early, winter's peak season, you know? And during that entire time, you only asked for money. You never said a word about me being excluded from the trip. Silence. That long, heavy, uncomfortable kind of silence. I leaned back in my chair, scanning each face. They all avoided my eyes. The people I called family had quietly scripted this whole thing and assigned me a role, without ever asking for my consent. Doesn't anyone see something wrong with this? I asked again, this time my voice firm. Rachel spoke, using the tone I hated most, the one that sounded rational but dripped with condescension. You're fine. You don't have a family of your own, no pressure from kids or marriage. I figured you'd be happy to help. Happy? I laughed dryly. You think spending a week with 5 children that aren't mine while everyone else enjoys snow and spa is happy? This time, Mom softly added, Lily, don't take it too personal. Everyone just thought, you've always been reliable. You're the most grounded person I know. There it was again, reliable. I used to feel proud hearing that. But now, I felt like a high-end babysitter. Unpaid, without benefits, and absolutely not consulted. I didn't say another word. I just stood up and grabbed my coat. "Where are you going?" Megan asked, a bit uneasy. "Home. I didn't want to ruin the evening for everyone," I answered shortly. No one stopped me. No one apologized. The only thing I heard as I reached the door was Mom murmuring to Rachel, "She'll be fine. Lily always comes back." I stepped outside. The cold wind slapped my face, but in that moment, I saw it clearer than ever before. They didn't think I had the right to say no. They didn't see me as someone with her own wants. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure I would come back. I sat frozen in my chair, phone still in my hand, the screen black, just like how I felt inside. I wasn't sure what hurt more, Mom's blunt refusal or the way she dismissed everything I had ever done for the family. Like all those years, I was just a shadow in the background, summoned when needed and forgotten when not. I opened my laptop and quickly searched, "Professional Nanny Service, Aspen, Colorado." Within minutes, I had a list of certified caregivers with CPR credentials, clean backgrounds, even 5-star reviews from past families. I chose the most reputable agency, sent over the schedule and the kids' ages. 30 minutes later, I received confirmation. A professional nanny would be present at the resort for the entire week, from morning until night, at an hourly rate I agreed to pay without hesitation. I snapped a picture of the contract and added a note. "I've arranged care for the kids so everyone can enjoy the vacation, and I'll be joining as a full member of the family." I sent the message in our family group chat. Exactly 1 minute later, the first reply came from Rachel. "You can't just go and do that. We don't want to leave our kids with a stranger." Megan chimed in right after. "You're making everything messy. This is Mom's birthday, not the time for drama." I took a deep breath, typing slowly but clearly. "No one asked if I wanted to be part of this. You made the plans, used my money, and handed me the role of babysitter. I'm simply reclaiming one basic right, to be present as a daughter." The next reply hit hard. "Lily, I'm truly disappointed. You're letting personal feelings overshadow an important event. No one forced you, everyone just believed you were more mature than this." I set the phone down, heart aching. More mature? That phrase, they always used it to silence me. Lily will understand. She's the grown-up. She doesn't need the attention like the little ones do. But has anyone ever asked me what I actually wanted? I remembered one summer when I was 22. I had a chance to intern in Boston, a prestigious spot hundreds of students fought for. But that same week, Rachel got into a minor car accident and needed help watching Caleb, who was only 6 months old at the time. I declined Boston. No one in the family questioned my decision. In fact, they praised me for being so selfless. Then when Megan was pregnant with her second, I was the one who took her to every prenatal visit during her 3rd trimester, because her husband was always traveling for work. I used to believe that sacrifice was how you held a family together, but now I realize they've grown so used to my sacrifices that they started treating them as obligations. I picked up my phone and typed one final message. "I'm done arguing. A nanny has already been hired, and I'm covering the entire cost. If anyone feels uncomfortable with me being part of the trip, I'll step back, but this time the choice is mine." I hit send, then turned off the screen. There was no more anger inside me, only clarity. For the first time in years, I wasn't doing something to please others. I was protecting myself. Just minutes after I sent that final message, my phone started buzzing non-stop like something urgent had happened. I had just set it down on the kitchen counter when it buzzed again. Rachel was calling. Before I could answer, it switched to a call from Mom. Then, Megan. I didn't pick up. Immediately after, a wave of messages poured into the family group chat. This time, they weren't holding back. "Rachel, do you even understand what you're ruining? This is Mom's 60th birthday, not an excuse for you to punish the whole family." "Megan, you don't have kids, so you have no idea how terrifying it is to hand them off to a stranger. But we're not okay with this?" "Mom, Lily, I'm truly disappointed in you. I had hoped you'd think about the family instead of clinging to personal feelings." I I read each line and it became painfully clear. The outrage, the blame, and most of all the dismissal. Not a single one of them thought I had a point. So this is how selfish you are, Rachel added, fueling the fire. You don't have a family, you're not exhausted from raising kids or holding a marriage together. What exactly do you need a vacation for? I sank into the chair. Those words, they sounded like emotional outbursts, but deep down, I knew to them. I'm the one who's always available, always has extra time, energy, and space, because I don't have a husband, I don't have children, I don't have any so-called real responsibilities. The phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom. I reluctantly answered. Lily. Her voice came through cold and sharp. I don't understand why you chose now, of all times, to go against the entire family. Do you even know how much effort everyone put into planning this trip? Mom, I'm not going against anyone, I replied, trying to stay calm. I just want to be included as an actual member of this family, not kept on the sidelines. On the sidelines? That sounds nice on paper, but you know what? You never settled down. You don't have anyone to care for. That's why you don't understand how precious a little freedom is. The kids need someone familiar, not a stranger. I froze. Are you saying that because I don't have kids, I don't deserve a vacation? I asked again. She went quiet for a few seconds, then said softly, I'm just telling the truth. I hung up. No tears, no fury, just a hollow, cold emptiness in my chest. But they weren't done. Rachel's private messages kept coming. If you really want to come with us, then rethink everything. No one needs more drama. You used to be the mature one, the responsible one. Now look at you, making a scene just because you're not going. You're acting like a bitter child who didn't get invited to the party. Then came another message from Mom. Lily, if you keep being this stubborn, I fear the entire trip will be ruined. And I really don't want to be embarrassed in front of the extended family. I turned off notifications entirely. In that moment, I understood one thing with perfect clarity. They weren't upset because I was hurt. They were upset because their plan fell apart. I wasn't being treated as a daughter or a sister. I was the solution, the gatekeeper, the cushion beneath their comfort. And this time, I didn't follow the script. I didn't open any more messages. I didn't need to. Just seeing the names, Rachel, Megan, Mom, Aunt Clara, even Rachel's husband Kyle told me everything I needed to know. All of them calling, texting, leaving voicemails, as if I had caused some kind of disaster. I flipped the phone face down on the table, poured myself another glass of wine. Out on the balcony, the waves kept crashing gently. The moonlight shimmered on the water like silver silk. I leaned back in my chair and took a deep breath. For the first time in 33 years, I did something without asking for permission, without explaining myself, and without feeling guilty. I didn't cry. I wasn't angry. I didn't feel sorry. I felt free. For years, I defaulted to being the leftover one. The one who could always be counted on, who always showed up, who always gave. No one forced me, but everyone was so used to me saying it's fine that it became expected. But this time, when I said no, the entire family reacted like I had betrayed them. I pulled a small leather notebook from my purse, the one I normally use to jot down work notes, plan projects, track financial goals. But this time, no deadlines, no metrics. I wrote one single line. For the first time, I choose myself. Then I set the pen down. That was enough, no justification needed. The next day, I rented a bike and rode along the coastline, had lunch at a small Mexican restaurant where the waitress had a smile warmer than the sunshine outside. I sat for hours in a cafe, reading a classic novel I had meant to finish 5 years ago. In the afternoon, I turned off my phone completely. Not airplane mode, not silent. I powered it down. A simple act, but it brought a kind of liberation I never expected. I didn't think about Aspen, didn't think about missed calls, didn't think about them standing in front of my apartment, frustrated and angry. I let them figure it out, just as I had, for years, in silence. That evening, I went to a small bar by the beach. The music was soft, not too loud, just enough to feel the presence of others without being overwhelmed. I ordered a cocktail I'd always thought was too flashy, a Bahama Mama, filled with colorful fruit and topped with a tiny umbrella tilted to the side. I sat alone at the bar, sipping the bright drink, and for the first time, I didn't feel the need to appear strong or mature. I was just Lily, a 33-year-old woman, single, child-free, not obligated to serve anyone but herself. And that was perfectly okay. As I was leaving the bar, the owner, a man in his 50s with silver hair, joked, "Not everyone knows how to vacation alone like you do." I smiled. I only learned recently. When I got back to the hotel, opened the balcony doors, and stepped out to look at the stars, I knew one thing with complete clarity. No matter what happens going forward, I will never go back to being the family's shadow again. Because once you've experienced what it's like to live for yourself, you can't go back to being the lifeboat for people who only call when they need saving. I returned to Chicago on a cool afternoon, the gray sky casting a quiet shadow over the streets I knew too well. When the taxi stopped in front of my apartment building, I stepped out with my small suitcase, feeling as still as a lake after a storm. But the moment I reached the front steps, I knew something had happened. My mailbox was stuffed with envelopes and hastily folded notes. Some were scribbled by hand. One simply read, "Call Mom now." Another was harsher. "The family can't believe what you did. Hope you sleep well with that conscience." I opened the apartment door. No signs of forced entry, but the blinking light on the landline's voicemail made me pause. 37 missed calls. 14 voicemails. I didn't listen, not yet. I placed my luggage in the bedroom, made myself a cup of peppermint tea, and collapsed onto my familiar couch. But I knew this peace was only the calm before the real storm hit. And it came, exactly as I expected. That night, the knocking came fast and hard, not polite. I opened the door, and there stood Rachel, eyes red, dark circles like she hadn't slept in days. Megan followed close behind, carrying Ava, who had fallen asleep on her shoulder. They both looked at me like I was a criminal who'd fled the courtroom. "Where have you been all week?" Rachel snapped, her voice hoarse with anger. "Do you even know how long we waited at your door?" "No one told me you were coming," I replied calmly. "We thought you understood," Megan interjected. "Mom said everything was arranged, and you just disappeared without a word." I sat on the couch, watching them as if replaying an old movie. Only this time, I didn't feel guilty. Rachel launched into a tirade like a waterfall. "You ruined everything. Megan had to cancel the trip because Kyle wouldn't watch the kids alone. I had to stay at the hotel with my two because we couldn't find a sitter last minute, and Mom, she cried. The whole family vacation was ruined because of you." I looked at Rachel. Each word like a needle, not because it hurt, but because I had heard this kind of blame before. "What about me?" I asked slowly. "Did you ever consider how it felt to be left out of the plan? When the whole trip was arranged and roles assigned, but no one thought to tell me?" Megan jumped in, frustrated. "You're always busy. Always working. We just assumed, even without asking, you'd say yes, like always." "That's the problem," I cut in, voice low but steady. "No one asked. You all just assumed." The air turned thick. Rachel gripped the strap of her purse tightly. "If you don't want to do anything for the family, just say so. Don't pull this act like you're some kind of victim." I stood up and met my sister's angry gaze. "I'm not a victim. But I'm also not someone who gives up her entire vacation, her money, and her time just to be invisible." Neither of them responded. Megan turned away, gently patting Ava's back as the child stirred. Rachel stood still, her anger fading into something closer to defeat. Finally, Rachel said, "Mom doesn't want to see you. She said if you've chosen to leave this family, then don't come back." I pressed my lips together. This time, my heart didn't shake, because I knew I had made the right choice. Rachel and Megan remained there, like they were waiting for a reaction. Deep down, maybe they still thought I would cave, apologize, take the blame like I always had. But I wasn't the same Lily from before. The quiet big sister, always nodding, always ready to play the supporting role, behind everyone's convenience. I looked Rachel in the eye and asked, "Did you actually hear what I said, or are you just yelling to avoid facing the truth, that you took advantage of me?" She froze for a second, then snapped back, offended. "What are you even talking about? We just wanted a peaceful vacation. You're the one making everything complicated." "No, Rachel," I replied, voice even and firm. "I'm not making anything complicated. I'm just refusing to be used anymore." Megan set Ava down on the couch and turned to me, visibly irritated. "So you think you're above all this? You don't have kids, you don't have a real family. You don't know how exhausting it is for us. You've got extra time, extra money, extra freedom, and you still can't help out for 1 week?" I let out a dry laugh. "It's not that I can't, it's that I don't want to anymore. And you just admitted something important, that to you, my single life and success means I'm automatically obligated to serve." They both fell silent. I looked at them, my heart feeling empty, like we were no longer family at all. I used to think that sacrifice was how you showed love to your family. But it turns out I was just turning myself into a tool. And you two got so used to it, you started seeing it as normal. Right then, my mother appeared at the door. She wore a beige coat, her face colder than any winter wind. "Lily," she said, her voice wasn't loud, but it cut sharper than any scream, "if you've chosen to stand outside this family, then don't come back." No one in the room dared to breathe. It wasn't the first time she said something hurtful, but this time, it landed like a sentence. I nodded slowly. No argument, no tears. "If that's what you want, I'll respect it." She gave me one last look, then turned and walked away without another word. Rachel and Megan followed in silence. The sound of the door closing felt like a period at the end of a sentence. I didn't run after them. I didn't shout. I didn't explain. I didn't plead. I just stood there, in my own apartment, quiet, free, and more clear-headed than I had ever been. From that moment on, I knew I was no longer the one who could watch the kids, the one who would understand, or the reliable one they leaned on. I was no longer the quietly dutiful daughter. I was just me, an adult who knows her limits, who knows how to say no, and who is no longer afraid of being left behind for not making everyone else comfortable. That night, I opened a small drawer in my home office and took out the spare key Mom used to keep. I slipped it into a plain white envelope and wrote on the front, "Return to Mom?" No letter, no explanation. I walked down the hall and dropped the envelope in the outgoing mailbox. The soft thud it made echoed in the quiet corridor. I went back inside, made myself a cup of warm tea and sat by the window. Outside, a light rain was falling, but inside me was a clear blue sky. Because for the first time, I had chosen myself, without asking anyone's permission. 5 weeks passed since the night Mom turned her back and Rachel slammed the door. I didn't take a single call, didn't send a single text. The silence felt like a thick blanket. But this time, it wasn't cold. It was the peace of someone who'd finally pulled the thorn from their heart. At first, I still checked social media. I scrolled through pictures of my nieces and nephews, parties, birthday wishes, and carefully edited photos with passive-aggressive captions. "Family is the only place that accepts you, unless you choose to leave it," Rachel wrote, under a photo of Mom hugging the kids. "Some people live only for themselves, then wonder why they're lonely," Megan posted, with a picture of the children playing outside. "It's sad when someone in the family puts their ego above the bond." My mom posted a short line, earning dozens of shares, from friends and distant relatives who had no idea what really happened. I saw it all, but I didn't feel pain anymore. I used to be the one who sat up at night wondering what I did wrong, who wrote out dozens of texts and deleted them, who waited for a call to make peace. But not anymore. This time, I didn't react. I didn't defend myself. I didn't bow my head. I deleted Facebook from my phone, opened my travel app, booked a flight to Lisbon, a place I'd dreamed of visiting since college but never dared, always putting more important things first. I also signed up for a local book club where no one knew who I was, no one judged me as the single, childless older sister. There, I was just Lily, the woman who loved detective fiction and could dissect plot twists in ways that left everyone impressed. Every weekend morning, I went to my favorite cafe, brought a book, ordered a hot espresso, and read under the sun. No messages, no favors, no obligations. I even started learning Spanish online, not for work, not for family, just because I wanted to. One afternoon, while clearing my phone, I accidentally opened the old family group chat. The name was still Our Family, filled with old messages. Rachel reminding me to watch the kids on Friday, Megan asking to borrow $500 just for a few days. Mom sending pictures of her homemade cake with the caption, "It would taste better if you were home to eat it." I stared for a few seconds. No anger, just distance. I tapped the three dots and hit Leave Group. No explanation, no goodbye. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure you want to leave this chat?" I pressed yes without hesitation. It didn't feel like an ending, it felt like a rebirth. I stood, opened the window, and let the afternoon light pour through the sheer curtains. Outside, the city was still bustling, still noisy, but inside me was a peace I'd never known. Because I finally understood something. My worth isn't measured by what I can do for others, but by the fact that I have the courage to live honestly as myself. I don't know if Mom will ever understand, or if Rachel and Megan will ever reflect, but that no longer matters. I've stopped waiting for them to acknowledge that I deserve better. I've stepped out of the old role and into a brand new chapter, where I don't have to serve anyone to feel valuable. Lily's story is a powerful reminder that when you're always ready to sacrifice, people forget you have feelings, boundaries, and the right to live for yourself. In real life, many people, especially women, get trapped in the role of the dependable one until they lose themselves. But like Lily, everyone deserves love without conditions or expectations. Saying no isn't selfish. It's the beginning of freedom. What do you think about Lily's decision? Was she too harsh, or did she finally do what was right for herself? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to follow the channel for more heartfelt stories about family life.